Henry Cavill is back, baby! We're getting another Superman movie. Yes! So in honor of Superman Return, I'm going to be doing a speed painting of the Man of Steel himself. But this one's going to be a little different. You're not just getting one image. Oh no. I'm going to show you all the different costumes that Kal-El, Clark Kent, Superman has worn over the years. Canon from the comics over the past 80 years. Whew, that's a lot. Also, I've got something very exciting for you to stay tuned for at the end. I'm actually going to draw my own version of Superman, and I'm going to need your opinions. But enough of that, let's start off with the image we all know and love of Superman. This is the version of Superman that he always inevitably returns to. He might try a different costume for a little while, but he'll always return to this one. So when we all think of Superman, this is the version we probably see. Okay, now you know he didn't actually start off this way. His very first appearance in 1938 looked a little bit like this. His shield was very simple and did look like a shield, and he had very small boots. Later that same year, in 1938, he started to evolve into what the Superman we all know and love now. His boots got a little higher, and his symbol on his chest started to form the diamond shape. It wasn't a fully diamond yet, it was more of a triangle, but it was getting there. Then from 1940 to 1988, nearly 50 years, his costume stayed the same. Then came 1989, where the first of many costume changes took place. Superman was transported to Mongol's war world, where he became a gladiator, and he looked like this. Yeah, we got Gladiator Superman. He needs a bit more clothing, I think. And then came the 90s. Oh, good times, good times. A lot of crazy stuff happened. Ooh. Yeah, see, that's when things went weird. Also, incidentally, when I started really getting heavily into collecting comics. Anyway, in 1990, we got the Kryptonian. Yes, this one is where a Kryptonian program called the Eradicator sort of possessed Kal-El's mind for a little while, and he sort of forgot his humanity and became more just Kryptonian thinking. So it was all logic and emotions didn't matter. So this is a sort of typical Kryptonian garb, so that's why he was wearing this outfit. But it didn't last for very long. Then, in 1992, they killed Superman. In the comics, not in real life. Well, you know what I mean. So then it was sort of weird. Then there was these four guys. There was Superboy, who was a clone of Superman's DNA and Lex Luthor's DNA. There was Steel, who was a man who just wanted to honor Superman, so he made a robotic suit, sort of Iron Man-ish, but that was Steel. Then there was the Eradicator, yes, that same program from before that sent Superman a little whoop-whoop. He came along and he sort of took over a little bit. And there was Cyborg Superman, who was a cyborg version of Superman. I don't know, it was a bit, it was the 90s, it was the 90s. But I'm not going to do them because they aren't Kal-El. This video is only about Kal-El, so guys, let's get back to Kal-El. Clark Kent. Superman. Okay, so 1992, Superman died, and a whole year we were in a world without Superman. But in 1993, of course, Superman returned somehow. It happened. So when he returned, he actually returned in a full black costume, and he had a bit of a mullet. But it didn't last for very long, and Superman returned to his normal costume, plus the mullet. Now, in 1997, something very strange happened to the sun. In the comics, not in real life. The sun's fine, don't worry about it. So the sun emitted a different sort of energy or light, which of course meant Superman's powers would change as well. So instead of becoming like bulletproof, bullets would actually pass through him. He actually became like a being of energy, and he required a special costume, which was more like a containment suit, just so he could hold his energy in. Otherwise he'd just dissipate everywhere and he'd be gone. So he actually had this very strange costume. Thus, Superman Blue was born. Now he looks very cool, very 90s, but was he very Superman? But it didn't stop there. Superman's powers were still very unstable. So he actually split into two without himself even knowing. So we got Superman Blue and Superman Red. Exact same costume, but a blue version and a red version. But ultimately the sun's power was renewed, Superman's powers were renewed, and he merged back into one, and you guessed it, he returned to his normal form that we all know and love. So then in 2011, DC did the unthinkable and restarted the entire DC universe with the New 52. Yeah, I mean, it was okay, but bear in mind, Superman had been around for probably 80 years now, so Superman 1 to Superman nearly 1000 wiped all that away, and we started from 1. Didn't sit well with fans, and rightly so, I believe. Anyway, by the way, since his beginning, Superman has been running through 2 comics, through Superman comics and Action Comics. Yeah. So every month there's been at least 2 issues of Superman and Action Comics. So what they did, they had a different version for each issue. So over in Action Comics, we got the very start of Superman's career. He didn't even have a full costume. He had a shirt with the Superman symbol, and he was wearing jeans and boots and a makeshift cape. That's how basic it was. It was kind of interesting. But then over in Superman comics, we have a Superman that's been a little bit more established. He's been around in the story a bit more. People know who he is. Well, they know of him. They don't know who he is, but they know of Superman. And he had a more metallic looking costume. It looked very cool. And for the first time in history, he didn't have his trunks on the outside. So he became like this totally blue with a few little bits of red character. Now, as I mentioned, the New 52 didn't really resonate too well with the readers, so they did a soft reboot of the reboot in 2016, which they called Rebirth. So all the old numbers were reinstated, a bit of the history from the last 70, 80 years was re-put back into the character, and we sort of went back to normal. So the costume still looked a bit like the New 52, but you'll notice the boots, they sort of just had a little red trim at the top and they were blue. So that was Rebirth, which went for a little while. But then, as you guessed it, in 2018, what did I say at the beginning? This is the version of Superman that he always inevitably returns to. Superman returned. So he's back to this. Okay, so that's the comics. So now the whole reason for this video is just to basically just celebrate Henry Cavill coming back as Superman. So I can't do a speed paint of Superman without doing the Henry Cavill version. So here it is. Okay, so that's Superman through the history of the years. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something a little bit different. Taking all the history that we've just gone through and seen, and also being aware of the current climate we live in. We have facial recognition, fingerprint recognition, so much recognition. I'm going to do a little bit of a redesign of Superman. So I've incorporated some of the Superman red and Superman blue at the top of the shoulders here. I thought that looked a bit cool. But I also thought in our modern world, Superman doesn't want to leave fingerprints. So why not give him gloves? So now he won't leave fingerprints wherever he goes. With fingerprint recognition. So people go, hey, Superman's Clark Kent. Now I thought his colors were getting a little bit out of balance here. So what I did, I wanted to stick to the 60-30-10 rule. If you want to learn more about that, check out this video right here. So what I did, I added a bit of blue to the inside of his cape. I also wanted to keep his undies on the outside because I didn't want to be mocked anymore. So I went a bit with the Henry Cavill design. You'll notice he's got these nice little grey swooshes to the side there. So I just thought I'd make them red. Suits Superman's colours better. Okay, so now the controversial part. This is where I'm going to need your input, guys. We have facial recognition nowadays. Oh, it's me. I mean, nowadays, just glasses, I don't think that'll work as just a disguise anymore. So what if Superman wore a mask? Ooh, I know. Let's check it out. Okay, so guys, I need your votes. Leave in the comments whether you like mask, no mask, or classic. Now, in my opinion, Superman should always have a cape. So if you want to learn how to draw a cape, check out the video that's on your screen right now so you can get cape drawing.